We have a question here. It's an Instagram. We've got disc. Got a little scratch on the neck there from the cat just then. Taming some feral cats, we just call it. Disc versus rim. We'll get to the question right now. In the end of this video. Keep watching the whole video. I'm going to show some real carbon bling bikes in part of this video. Alright, so this is a question from Thoughtful But Concise, commented on my Instagram feed just recently here. And discs are superior braking. This is in reference to the Amstel Gold race recently with Tom Pidcock and Wout van Aert. Such a close sprint there. So discs superior braking, especially on a course like Amstel Gold, will save energy. Right, so this person is assuming that a World Tour rider with the skill set of Tom Pidcock and Wout van Aert, who are super mutant level bike handling skills, need road discs that they'll save energy because of the, I guess, I've ridden with probably close to 1,000 World Tour riders since 2003 with the Tour Down Under. The training, in the hills, on the beaches, down the hills, trains, you know, going to the cafes, going out, you know, with the guys afterwards and talking to them. Zero riders have ever said, man, I wish we had disc brakes on our road bikes. Zero. Only one rider ever, I won't mention his name, because he probably wouldn't want his sponsors known, has said to me that his brake calipers weren't that good and that they wish they had some Shimano calipers. And he was a very well-paid, well-known World Tour rider from a Scandinavian country, and he's like, yeah, these brakes we got are pretty average, but we don't use our brakes that much, but otherwise the bike's pretty good, you know. And this guy went on to have one of the best seasons ever, and he's using these crappy calipers that were just, you know, really poor quality. So, you know, speaking of quality, where were we? That's right, rim brakes. You know, and this guy is like having really good results on these crappy calipers. I mean, like, the pros don't really care about their brakes too much. They might whine about it, like, you know, these calipers aren't as good as Shimano are, but, you know, what can you do? So this is hilarious. This amateur rider, and I shouldn't say amateur rider. What does that mean? I'm an amateur rider, but I'm also very, very experienced and had a lot of discussions with World Tour riders over the years and asked them. And every single World Tour rider loves a bike about 6.8 kilo, you know, super light, frisky, sharp gear changing bike. That's what they all love. They don't like these aero heavy disc brake bikes, but they don't have no choice because they're paid to ride these bikes. They're paid bonuses if they get a win on this bike. All right, simple as that. If you disagree with that, then ask Specialized why was Peter Sagan paid a handsome royalty to ride a disc brake only tarmac, or was it Venge back in, was it 2019 tour or 2018? One of those tours where Sagan just rode disc brakes the whole way. Why if their disc brakes are superior, why do they have to pay him extra to ride these heavy things? So this person says that pro riders prefer it. That's a myth. Additionally, the heavy modern bikes that are mocked here are more aero and more comfortable than previous lighter bikes. Zero pro riders want a bike that's more comfortable. Like, no pro rider says, oh, my Ridley Helium or my Trek Emonda rim brake bike wasn't comfortable enough. No one says that, ever. Right? The people who say that are the people who don't ride much and the bikes are harsh. The World Tour riders never say my Trek Emonda or my Pinarello F8 or my Cannondale Super 6 rim brake bike wasn't. Those bikes are super comfortable, man. If you're fit and in shape, they're super comfortable. And the heaviness, no pro rider says, oh, my 6.8 kilo bike's too light. Give me an 8 kilo bike. No one's saying that, bro. You're just tripping. You're dreaming, right? And the idea that the industry, this person says, the idea that the industry is pushing heavier bikes is stupid. They are pushing heavier bikes. Wait, have you ridden a Cervelo S5? I have. They're so heavy, man. You know, and they look cool. They roll nice, but I wouldn't want them in a performance setting. You know, brands are innovating in a way that is harder to quantify with one simple number. Innovating? They're profiteering, bro. The innovation's stopped. And now we're going to disc brake road. There's no innovation there, man. It's profiteering, pure and simple. And it's business, that's fair enough. But don't think it's like performance enhancement. If it's performance enhancing disc brake road disc, Team Sky, aka Ineos, would be using them. They don't, right? Why did Caleb Ewan switched to a rim brake bike in the Tour de France last year when he was trying to make time cut. Why did he do that? You know what I mean? Because rim brakes are faster. And if there's a difference between being booted out of the Tour de France and staying in, you're going to do what you can do. All right? So, did you notice that last year? And then Caleb Ewan using we'll cover up here, a bit of rim brake action there to get going on that. You know, it's crazy. The idea that pro bikes are getting slower because they're trying to sell everyone on discs against their will is conspirational and stupid. Really, it's conspiracy. No, it's not, bro. Why do Specialized? Why did they kill their rim brake options for tarmac? Why is Cervelo killing that? Why did Trek kill the Amonda rim brake? Because they want to push this road disc thing on the consumer. It's not a conspiracy, it's business. Right? If the consumer rides what the pros ride, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Right? No pro would choose a disc brake bike. Zero pros, unless they're getting paid a mad bonus, which is what's happening on the teams that have a choice, like UAE, etc. Or, like, no one would choose disc. No World Tour rider would choose disc unless they're getting paid a handsome bonus. Because it's inferior road race tech. Pro riders don't need better brakes than the Shimano caliper. You know, this is all I care about. When you put these on your road bike, you've got to add a lot of extra weight. Pros don't want that. Simple as that. World Tour riders don't want the road. I don't know. I don't understand how this person writes with such conviction. They write with such conviction that, you know, they write with such conviction that they're right and I'm wrong. Who are you, bro? You know, now, I'm not trying to be condescending or arrogant, but who are you? Do you have 24 years of racing experience? You know, have you ridden with World Tour riders, have conversations? The World Tour riders write you in the inbox and say, yeah, Duranider, you're right. You know what I mean? Do they do that? Do you have conversations with World Tour mechanics? Do you have cycling friends who own bike shops and who roll their eyes at the disc brake, you know, weight, etc. and the you know? Do you have friends, peer group, who are mechanics at local bike shops, etc., all around the world, who write you, man, Harley, I wish I could say what you say, but I can't because, you know, this is what my customers want, blah, blah, blah. What can I do? What can I do? Do you have that, bro? You don't. And again, not to make me like, hey, I'm superior than now or whatever. I'm just saying that my perspective isn't coming from a personal bias or whatever. It's coming from the real world, you know? I sell most of my sales now, or actually all my sales, because I can't get rim brake stock anymore, is disc brakes. Like, this is, you know, I make money on disc brake gravel bikes. And I think it's just fantastic for gravel. It's awesome. Riding through the mud and stuff like that. Trying to brake with mud on your rims, no fun. Rotors, no worries. You know, I actually prefer these cheap Tektro rotors than the Dura-Ace ones because they're stiffer, they don't bend, and they don't warp, and they just brake better, it feels like. They dissipate heat better than the Dura-Ace ones. Dura-Ace is better for lightness, but you're not getting disc brakes if you want lightweight, are you? So anyway, let's clip to the bikes now. Let's talk a bit about that. I just find these questions hilarious, man. It's like, this dude's been riding, again, not trying to be hater or not, I'm just going to say this person's probably been riding for like a year or two. They're probably on their first ever carbon road bike, and now it's like an aero disc brake bike that's probably spent, you know, $5,000 on or 5,000 euros on. It's a Canyon or whatever. Or it's Tarmac SL7 or Avenger or whatever. They're like, no, Duranider's wrong. Like, I wear a Rafa kit and I don't wear gloves. Duranider's a noob. He wears gloves and he has his jersey half unzipped and he wears a helmet from a couple of years ago. He's using rim brakes, man. Like, Duranider wouldn't know. Like, he's just a has-been. Duranider's irrelevant, man. Duranider's cancelled, man. Like, what would he know? Like, pretty much every World Tour rider has watched my videos at some point. World Tour riders have bought my ebooks. You know, World Tour riders have employed me for coaching on the down low. A lot of people don't want to be associated with me on a public level, and I get that because I'm just so transparent and opinionated. I get that. You know? Do you have any big name brand people, staff members have written to me from various brands? I'll say it. No, actually, I won't say it because I don't want to give them trouble, but brands that I talk, you know, not target, but I talk about, have had employees write me, Harley, if you only knew I grieve so with you so much, you know, and I'm like, no, please do not say this, you know, publicly or whatever. They write me on a private account, etc. You know, or they even, I've even had Skype calls with people from the industry. Everybody is agreeing with what I say from the industry. Everyone on private is agreeing. Publicly though, they can't, because it kills like, you know, so that, my issue here, this is all first world problems. It's pretty meaningless, rim brake versus disc brake, but we're having a debate. We're going to cover it. Rim brake is just superior in all aspects in a road race situation. Road race, we're talking. We're not talking commuters. We're not talking gravel riding. We're talking world tour. Every millimeter counts. Rim brakes, faster wheel changes, lighter wheels. End of story. More consistent braking. Calipers overheat. The disc caliper overheats, and the master cylinder can expand on a hot day or a cold. Rim brake's just consistent. Consistent braking. You know exactly how it feels. You've been using it for the last 5 or 10 years of training. And now you go to disc brakes, and it's like it changes all the time because of the hydro compression and the master cylinder expansion. The rotor's getting warped. Disc brakes, if you want more, rim brakes, you just close the lever in and out. You know, you can calibrate it. Wheel change from your teammate, no worries. It's not going to be rubbing. Just open up your lever there. You know, get a wheel. It's a no-brainer. Anyway, I'll talk about this forever. Let's cut to the bike tech. Show you some carbon bling. Any more questions down below? Let us know. Let's have a great discussion with this one. Rims for road race. Discs for commuting in wet sludge and mud and grit and gravel and dirt. No question. World Tour rim brakes are the chosen choice by 1000% of the pro peloton. Unless they get paid a bonus, unless they have a choice. If they had a choice, rim brake every time. Unless there's some financial, hey, today, if you ride disc brakes, we'll pay you €5,000. What Russian rider wouldn't say no to that? Yeah, would say, yeah. What Russian or East Europe block rider wouldn't say no to you're going to pay me €5,000 to ride today with disc brakes versus rim? I would do that. I would do that. You know, I'm just going to sit in the pack for it anyway. I might as well get €5,000, take home for the kids. Why not? Let's go to the tech. About the physics, Tom Pidcock, Wout van Aert. We've got the lightweights here. It's probably one of the best wheels I've ever used. So tubular, super, just like, you know, rides so nice. If you've ridden these wheels, you know what I'm talking about. Next favourite would probably be my Windspace Hyper 38, so a clincher. These are some DT Swiss, they ride pretty similar. I don't have the Windspace in my moment because they're in Sydney, but they're a very good wheel as well. So, and then we've got Wout van Aert style. We've got disc brakes and just a, you know, midsection carbon wheel. The rims these days are all pretty good quality. But my issue is at a World Tour level, at this power that Wout van Aert is right, he's definitely going to be rubbing. Those rotors are going to rub like ting, 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 ting. Especially these Dura-Ace rotors they're using. They're very thin, they're very bendy, they're very flexy. Like they flex. They're like feel like a Coke can. If you squash Coke cans together, that's why a lot of some of the teams use the XT rotors. They're a bit stiffer and a little bit lighter. So someone like Wout van Aert, you know, sprinting, he's going to be definitely flexing that. People talk about the through axles as stiffer. That's absolute, you know, nonsense. There's a channel out there called Peak Torque, and he's got a great video. I think he's an engineer or just a full tech geek guy, and he's talking about how through axle for road is just a gimmick. I think through axle is great because you can't bung up a quick release if you're a noob. I think through axle is good for noobs, but for racing experienced riders, quick release is much lighter, easier. So there's no, you know, enhanced clamping force in the through axle because the stiffness is coming from the axle. It's coming from this part here. This is your axle, all right? This is the stiffness. The quick release or the through axle doesn't matter because the stiffness is coming from the actual axle, alright? So it's not actually an axle, it's more just a bolt-on quick release, you know. The axle is the hub axle that goes through. That's where the torsional stiffness is coming from. But anyway, you also got a light carbon fork, which is going to have a lot of flex as well. And because they're trying to make these bikes lighter for discs, like these forks, I don't rate them personally. I think as well, longevity, how strong carbon forks, road forks with discs, time will tell. This is a very experimental phase right now. So Tom Pidcock on the lightweights, super light bike, having no rubbing rotors there. It's more aero because you don't have that, you know, that disc rotor there in the wind at that speed. Tom Pidcock putting out less power and only lost it by like a few millimeters. You know, maybe time to sprint, not so bad, but his experience level is quite minimal compared to Wout van Aert, who's a, you know, experienced World Tour Classics rider in the last year or so. You know, so fantastic effort by Tom there on a superior bike. He just, you know, it's crazy. But all people saying, oh, the disc brakes didn't hold Wout van Aert back. They did. They did. He still got the win, but he would have won more. He won in spite of these heavy pizza cutter rotors, which aren't necessary. Do you think someone like Wout van Aert, with his skill set he has as a cyclocross rider, Do you think he needs disc brakes? Like, when did he use his brakes in the last few Ks? You mean? If you use your brakes in the last few Ks, you lose position, you lose power, you lose, you know? You don't use your brakes much in the road, in World Tour. You know, that's what makes them so good, is they hardly use their brakes. Oh, you can brake later. No, if that was true, we'd see the rim brake riders from Team Sky getting dropped on the corners and the angles. We don't. Because to be at the front point, you've got to have an insane skill level. It's not about the brakes, it's about the skill. So this is fantastic for noobs, fantastic for dirt and gravel, I love it. But for road racing, it's just overkill. It's dead weight, they're heavy, they're flexier, they're more maintenance, they cost a lot more. The road disc for road racing gives me a thumb down. If I was a commuter in Seattle, London, yeah, it's great, because you can just, you know, have better braking with and run a fatter tyre on there. If I lived in London, I'd run 30mm tyres, or I'd just run a cyclocross bike and go all the sludge and all the cars and ride over the Volvos and stuff like that, you know. But in Australia, we can get away with dry conditions. In California, we can get away with skinny tyres, rim brakes, no worries. So I think bike manufacturers should offer options, you know. Specialized now just killed their rim brake options for tarmacs, which is silly, and they're just pushing discs, so it makes more money for them. When you have a disc rim, you don't have to put the braking. You know, you have to spend the expensive money on the resins, right? Disc rims are much cheaper because there's no braking surface there, you know. But that's what costs most of the money, is the resins, the laminates. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. That's what costs the most money, is that expensive powder they've got to put in here to make them not overheat too bad. And the technology is really good these days with the rim. It's really, really good. And unfortunately, they've been axed. Expensive rim brakes. These are some wheels I got. $150 off a triathlete. He's upgraded. He's moved over to disc, and I got these wheels for $150. No one wanted them, and I was like, what? I'll buy them. $150. Looks like a fast sport wheel. DT Swiss 350. $150 Australian. I put some tyres I got from the bin on there, and good to go. You know, like, it's just, these serums probably worth $100. Serum Elites. Heaps of braking surface left in there. You know, like, it's, yeah. Anyway, that's my little rant. Tom Pidcock did a great ride. Wout van Aert did a great ride. Everyone did a great ride, but the technology let them down. And Tom did a crazy performance there on a rim brake bike, enhancement there. Wout van Aert won despite his disc brake 8 kilo bike. If you can't see that, then you're probably not that clued up in tech.